Hello and good evening to everyone, and welcome to my show, Let's Talk About It with SABIA KHATUN. Today, we are at 50 years on, Bangladesh on the global stage. The sacrifices, the perseverance, and the determination of the golden Bangladesh. Let us learn, let us be aware, and let us understand the determination. I would like to choose to challenge myself today, just to say a couple of lines about Bangladesh in a more of a poetic way. Surjodoye tumi, surjosto tumi, O amar Bangladesh, priyo জন্মভূমি। জলশিরি নদীর তীরে তোর খুশির খাখন যেন বাজে। খাস বনে ফুলে ফুলে তোর মধুর বাসর যেন সাজে। তোর একতারা হায় করে বাউল আমার সুরে সুরে। ও আমার বাংলাদেশ প্রিয় জন্মভূমি। Now, we will go into saying what that means, but I will ask one of my guests for that. In a nutshell, it's saying, my dear Bangladesh, you are my birthplace. I will take you over to my guest who will tell us a bit about the Bangladesh Independence Day 2021, marking its 50th years, so on. So, where does Bangladesh stand on the global stage? And where is it heading in the next 50 years? I bring to you our first guest, Professor Sanawar Choudhury, who is not only an entrepreneur, a chartered accountant, but also a trustee board member of an organization I recently discovered called Pathfinder. He has worked across 15 countries with blue chip companies, government organizations, including the World Bank. And I can go on, but I would like to take you to welcome first Professor Sanawar Choudhury. Welcome to my show.
Thank you for inviting me. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you. My next guest who I have with me today is Mishael Ahmed. He is a craft promoter. He promotes social entrepreneurship. He is based in Bangladesh. He is an expert in business strategy for agro and craft value chains with rural sourcing and market linkage of rural artisans and producers to local and international markets. So welcome, Mishael Ahmed, to my show.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I then have a lovely student. Her name is Alisha Ahmed. She's an A-level student, and she is studying 3 A-levels: English literature, English language, art and design, and psychology. And she is from a background where her mother's from Bangladesh, but her father's from Jamaica. So welcome, Alisha.
Hello. Hi. It's good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have another lovely student. Her name is Tanima Islam. She's also an A-level student here in the UK, studying maths, chemistry, and economics. And she is of Bangladeshi origin, and I believe both her parents are too. So welcome, Tanima.
Hi.
And both of our students will have some probing questions for, a couple of our guests here. Last but not least, Mr. Irfan Ali, entrepreneur. He is of Yemeni origin. So it will be interesting to find out what Irfan knows or is already aware of Bangladesh, and maybe, take something from here, today's discussion. But welcome back, Irfan Ali, who's been on my show before.
Pleasure. Thank you, Sabia. Thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me.
Brilliant. Thank you all for joining. Right. We have a very interesting panel today. And firstly, before anything, I would like to take everyone over to Professor Sanawar Choudhury, who has a wealth of knowledge and ample experience, not only as a businessman and an entrepreneur who has businesses in the UK and Bangladesh, but we would like to know a brief introduction of what is Bangladesh Independence Day, what it means for you, and can you give us an insight into the 50th anniversary marking the 26th of March? So over to you, Professor Sanawar.
Thank you. Well, I was around during the Independence War. The independence obviously had its root going back almost 50 years before it took place, because in the former India, there was a discussion taking place between how India should be divided, if at all, and whether it should be divided along ethnic lines or religious lines. And I think, so going back to the 30s and 40s, huge discussions were taking place as to, how the new India should look. Ultimately, it was decided that India should be split in religious lines, taking mainly Muslim populated areas and converting that into Pakistan. You had two such areas. You had West Pakistan and East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh. Bangladesh itself, although wanted division in terms of becoming a country separate from India, they also wanted ethnic connections. So the Bengal, as we know, is about 4 times as big as Bangladesh is. So unfortunately, Bangladesh, the land of the Bangla people, is only a small part of the bigger Bengal, which is still in India. So naturally, if we had it our way and it was done on a rational basis, and not in the rush over the last 3 to 4 months of independence from the British, I think we would have had a different outlook. We would have had a different country, much bigger than it is. And it would have probably taken in most of Bihar, most of West Bengal. Calcutta would have been our capital, and it would have included some parts of the Seven Sisters that now exist, including Assam. Unfortunately, the leaders in that time, Jinnah and Nehru, were more concerned about the West and what was happening in Lahore, what was happening in Punjab, what was happening in those areas, than for them to worry about what was happening in Bangladesh. So we took the shorter straw and became East Pakistan, much smaller in footprint than we should have naturally been. So as an ethnic grouping, we are only a quarter of the size that we should be. But then, of course, immediately after independence, we became Pakistan. West Pakistan was largely dominated by the Punjabis and then the 5 provinces of West Pakistan. And they dominated most of what was taking place within that region. So East Pakistan, which has never had an administrative role in the past, were almost from the beginning looked upon as second-class citizens. And that's how they remained from 1947 up until 1952, which is a very crucial year, when West Pakistan decided to make the national language of Pakistan Urdu, even though the majority language spoken in Pakistan was Bangla. And you had demonstration and several people died. And I think the 21st of February 1952, several people died, and 21st of February has now become International Mother's Day, International Mother Language Day as a result. So a lot of historical things have happened. So from there, obviously, things started to ferment itself towards independence. So that just gives you a little bit of background as to where we were to where we got to roughly about the 1950s and 60s. Do you want me to carry on into the 70s?
We'll come back. Yeah, we'll come back to you on that. If I can go over to Mishael Ahmed. Now, Mishael, if you could share with us some post-war generations of how you see Bangladesh to be. And if you could share, I know some of your family members and relatives have experiences of that. But if you could add on to what Professor Sanawar has already mentioned and, just elaborate a bit more on that, as you tell us a little bit about, how you see Bangladesh to be.
I lost you for a while. Yes, sorry, I lost you for a while. So, as a generation born like 10, 12 years after the war, so we didn't see the war, of course, and we grew up more like in a Bangladesh which is free, and so we didn't really get to see the struggle of the generation of our parents. So in a way, our aspiration has been aspiration like anyone coming from a free country. So what we aspire now is that people want to be, they want to have a happy life. They want to live in a peaceful atmosphere, and they want to carry on with their work, and they want good governance. So that's the aspiration of the people, and people have been really entrepreneurial these days. I mean, for the last several years, I would say, and even 10, 20, 25 years back, if you travel in the villages, you would find Bangladesh people in the villages. They would know that people are not doing really well; they're going hungry. These things have changed, and now you really don't see that people are going hungry. So these are the little big changes, the leap forward, the economic changes, the women emancipation of the women folk, the garments industries, other industries these days are coming up. So people are looking forward, and I think now we are standing on a platform where we can really go forward and faster. And it's only possible if we have a stable country and better governance than what we have or what we could have.
Okay, thank you for that. If I could take everyone over to Irfan. Irfan, you're from Yemen originally, although you're based here in the UK.
Yes.
What would be interesting is to know, what are you aware of already about this Bangladesh Independence Day? And I am sure you will have some probing questions, for two of our guests who've already spoken about it. And then later on we will go over to our students who can then share what they already know. And I'm sure they're itching to ask some questions too.
So in terms of Bangladesh created its own independence. Obviously, a lot of bloodshed. A lot of people died over this. Obviously, we know that. Moving forward now, as a world economy, I know Sheikh Hasina's there. I don't know much about her. Is she one of your favorite people or not your favorite person? I don't know. But I'm sure Bangladesh is going to be one of the world's biggest economies in the next 10 or 20 years. Surely it's going to surpass Australia and all these other countries. I'm 100% sure, because Bangladesh is a manufacturing country, but mainly Bangladesh is a hardworking country. So in terms of Turkey and Bangladesh and Pakistan and India, these guys should be thriving. These guys are manufacturers. All the stuff that we have with us is probably made in Bangladesh. It's probably made there. In terms of moving forward, the economy, I believe the mindset has to change of a lot of the Bangladeshi people. So where do you want to be? Where does Bangladesh want to be? Does it want to stay where it is all the time? Or I'm sure it was going to move up. I'm 100% sure. GDP value and everything. So moving forward, Bangladesh bases itself around hard work. Obviously, we know that. And in terms of manufacturing, producing, where can it go? Where can it be in the next 20 years? I think you can break a lot of progress. To be honest with you.
Well, we will come back on to trying to find out where Bangladesh will be in the next 50 years. But Before I hear what Professor Sanawar and Mishael thinks of Irfan's understanding on and his views and thoughts, I'd like to take everyone over to one of my students, Alisha. Is this what you made out to be, you know, from your knowledge that you have? And, are you getting the drift that, yeah, this is more or less what you gathered what Bangladesh Independence Day was about? You know, please share your thoughts with us.
So I've learned a few things. I didn't know quite like how the picture was before, and I didn't know how much bloodshed there was and how long it really lasted. To me, I kind of thought before that it was something that I didn't know it took place like over a span of 50 years. So it's interesting to learn that it was a really long process.
Sorry, it's the 50th anniversary of independence, but Professor Sanawar or Mishael, correct me. It was a very, very long war. Approximately how long did it last?
It was about 9 months. The war started tomorrow on the 26th of March, and it ended on the 16th of December. So we became independent, but the call for independence was forcibly made on the 7th of March speech by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, which I think a lot of people have heard. It's become a seminal speech. Eibarer Shongram, Shadinota Shongram. So I think a lot of people understand that. But what is interesting, I think.
Sorry, could you just explain? Sorry, Professor, that those Bengali sentence you've said. If you could just translate that in English for us.
So I think on the 7th of March, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, on one of the biggest grounds just outside Dhaka, gathered, some say millions of people, definitely several 100,000. And he gave a very fiery speech talking about the predicament of Bangladesh, how he had tried to work with West Pakistan in order to retain a unified Pakistan. And he gave a speech which he concluded by saying that the time had come for talk to end and our liberation to start. So he said, Eibare Shongram, Shadinota Shongram. He goes, that this fight is for the fight for our freedom. Eibare Shongram, Mukti Shongram. So we will become, as a result of this, a free country. And he said very poignantly that we have given blood, we'll give more. And the flag of Bangladesh, which is green and red, represents exactly that. Green is the fertile land that Bangladesh is. We call it Shunar Bangla, Golden Bangla. Why do we call it that? Because everything that you plant in Bangladesh will grow, and it grows really well. So one of the most fertile regions of anywhere is Bangladesh. And the red represents the blood that was spilled in gaining independence. So again, a lot of heartache, a lot of trauma, but like every country, we had to go through that in order to become independent. And I think, as one of your guests had said, the generations now are still fighting for that independence by wanting things that others have or aspiring to things that are better than what they have at the moment.
Yeah, so thank you for that. Tanima, any different in what you thought, this was about? And, do you have anything that you may want to, ask because, you're not very clear about?
So I've done some research because I know it's like the 50th anniversary, and this just gave me an opportunity to find out more about the history of my country, even though, because it's easy to forget. So I just would like to say about some things I know about it, about how during the genocide, even like women were raped and highly intellectual people were targeted, as well as kids, but just so they just didn't want the country to grow as much as it can and as much as it has.
Yeah. So
the thing I would like to ask is like, what are like your opinions as your other guest has mentioned already about the development of Bangladesh in the next couple of years? What are your opinions about that?
Maybe Mishael could take that question.
Yeah.
Mishael, can you hear us?
Yes, I can, but sometimes it's breaking up.
So Tanima, do you want to ask that question again?
I asked about your opinion on the development of Bangladesh in the next couple of years. What because it's quite progressive right now. So what do you think will happen?
Well, absolutely. I think if I carry that on whilst Mishael gets on board. Bangladesh, from being what was known as a basket case, Henry Kissinger was Secretary of State for the US under Nixon, who was the president during the time of the Liberation War. And he classed Bangladesh as becoming another basket case of the world, the bottomless basket that Bangladesh would become if it became independent. Well, how wrong he was, because not only has it proven itself over the years, but over 50 years, we have now overtaken Pakistan on almost every metric that exists, including the size of the economy. So Pakistan, who were the more dominant, West Pakistan, the more dominant country at the time, well, East Pakistan has now overtaken them on every classification that you can think of. And not only that, but of the 195 countries in the world, we are now the 35th biggest economy. We have overtaken Yemen many times over, even though Yemen is almost 5 times as big as Bangladesh in land size. Population-wise, it's less than 20% of the population, but we've overtaken that many years ago. And now we're looking towards becoming the 24th biggest economy by 2025, 2030. So we have come a long way. And before, as Mishael said, we had hunger in the streets, in the villages. Now we're self-sufficient. During disasters, and Bangladesh is very prone to disasters because it's a low-lying country. It faces storms, typhoons, natural disasters of all sorts. In the UK, a brief spell of snow blockades everything. A few hours of rain floods everywhere. Well, Bangladesh has several days of rain in any one given time, and we cope, we manage. So I think as a Bangladeshi, as a British Bangladeshi, I'm proud to say that Bangladesh has come a long way. We've got a lot to do to become truly free. Our democratic institutions are yet to become robust as they should, but they will over time because they have to. And with the population reaching almost 200 million, things can only become better because land size isn't getting bigger. So we've got to become smarter. And Bangladeshis, one thing it's shown is that anywhere they go, they do become smarter, quicker. And if you look at the data from the UK, the British Bangladeshis have overtaken many of the other communities here, including the Pakistani community, in terms of educational achievement and development as well. So in all aspects, we're doing extremely well, not only in Bangladesh, but also the diaspora throughout the world.
Well, Irfan, what did you know that Bangladesh outseeded Yemen there? I mean,
there's no comparison. Absolutely no comparison at all. Yemen's population's under 30 million. Is only having the world's worst humanitarian crisis probably ever. In fact, many of my own family have even
Yemen is you guys are at war, right?
Unfortunately, we have a big brother, Saudi Arabia. They're not really considered our brothers, but Islamically, I suppose they have to be. And In terms of, you're saying, Professor Sanawar was saying metrically. What about the Bangladeshi army? Are they bigger than the Pakistani army?
Well, army makes little difference because there is nobody for us to fight. India
True,
is
yeah.
all
So the
around.
military. That's right.
Yeah. So we only, have the army in order to protect the internal borders of Bangladesh.
Yeah, that's right. You
Really,
don't need to
because
fight
India is 90% of Bangladesh, there isn't anybody for us to fight.
But certainly, you need to protect your land anyway, for sure. As it's so fertile, the pores and the grime of the Western community can only search because they've already messed up most of that part of the world anyway. they're going to filter themselves into that land as well if they realize that's as fertile as you're saying, which it is anyway. We know that. It's one of the most fertile places.
Yeah. I wanted to pick some thoughts from Mishael or Professor Sanawar. From my own knowledge, I mean, Pakistan and Bangladesh, approximately over 1,000 miles apart. So, why,
Why the
did
rivalry?
we have? Yes, well, yes, how does that make sense? Because I'm trying to still, make sense of that,
I think we
was
haven't
divided
spoken to
on the
one of
line
our
of
guests,
vision.
have we? One of our guests hasn't spoken yet, so I think it's worth hearing from her what she feels about Bangladesh, especially being of Bangladesh and
Are you talking
the
about
Jamaican?
Alisha?
Yes.
No.
Alisha.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's a Banglamecan.
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you feel, Alisha, on that? I mean,
Well,
it's.
I feel quite proud as Bangladesh, as part of where I'm from, because it seems that the country has come a really long way, and I think to win an independence war is a really big achievement. And it's very important, and I think remembering it tomorrow is important because our country wouldn't be where it is today if that hadn't happened. And I do have a question as well that I would like to ask everybody else. I just want to know what social or economic achievements are like currently something to celebrate, maybe tomorrow on Independence Day, or something to remember tomorrow.
If I could say a bit of it, I would come back to Professor, please correct me. So yes, I mean Bangladesh takes. There's still a lot of problems that we have. But say on the social indicators, say our education level, uh, neonatal or prenatal deaths, or mothers dying while giving birth, or say even stunting. Like children under the age of 3 or 5 if they're growing well. These indicators, Bangladesh is one of the highest in Southern Asia. And I think in most cases we are top, and few maybe challenged by India or Sri Lanka. But in all these social indicators, we are really flying high. We are doing really well. But this is a continuous struggle. I mean, you cannot rest on it. But Bangladesh is doing really well on these lines. And on economic front, yes, I mean there are larger economies around. Sri Lanka is a great country economic-wise. Pakistan, with all its issues, I mean, they're also doing something. But during the last the COVID period, last year until this year, Bangladesh's economy has grown faster, I think, than anyone in the world or something like that. I think this is the figure. Of course, we are the best, doing best economic-wise the last 1.5 years in South Asia. Like India has gone negative growth, Bangladesh has gone really high positive growth. And even, I mean, one thing was with COVID here is that with the young population and many other maybe complex reasons, medical reasons maybe, the death rate has not been really high. So infection rate is high now, but death rate is not as high as you can see in Europe or in US. So people have not really gone into their shields. No, they've come out since last year July, and I've been to factories with 10,000, 15,000 people working in one place, and it would amaze you how the rest of the world is kind of suffering. Bangladesh is suffering too, but you see people are out, they are working, and they cannot afford to be home basically. And also our few things have gone in favor of us during COVID. So this everything has accumulated into a not stagnant economy. So this is last 1.5 years, the COVID period. But over the last 10, 15 years, our economy has been going really strong. And one reason is stability in the government. I mean, you can have a lot of narration to it, but say when government changed every 5 years, a lot of things changed in our country. Things stalled and restarted, stop and start. This way a lot of things suffered. But
Yeah.
now, what is going on is that we don't have we don't have the political issues like strikes. We don't have strikes going up day after day. We don't have a lot of violence now. So people are really can do their job. People are really entrepreneurial. Every sector is growing almost. Agriculture is doing really well because we have our population growth pretty high, but
Mm,
we
mm.
are being still able to feed our people with the rice being one of the main thing that we are, I think, self-sufficient with
Yeah.
rice. And so these are the things that really is, I would say, the positive side of Bangladesh. And it is I mean, first and foremost, it is the people of Bangladesh. And you guys look at yourself over there with your origin
Yeah,
here, of course, but you are doing really
yeah.
great over in the UK. All the restaurants in the UK, the Indian restaurants, I know are Bangladeshi. So this is Bangladesh. So you people, we are the people that's moving this country forward and whatever is happening. And the
Yeah.
infrastructure development is now going
Mm.
really everywhere. So everything is the new Bangladesh.
I'd like to mention there about that we are aware that the Bangladesh's garment industry is one of the most globally competitive out there. Is it fair to say that other sectors like the pharmaceuticals and apparel industry, they're all expanding?
Yes,
As
definitely.
as an outsider, I would love not just Bangladesh, but just generally Asians in general. I'd love them to see come up in sport. I don't know why. I just think there's so much talent there that needs to be nurtured. I'm sure there's runners.
Yeah,
I'm sure
we are a
there's,
cricket playing nation, and
What
that's
sport
one
do you
sport.
have in mind, Irfan?
Just generally, okay, look at the Olympics, for example. I'll give you England as an example. England's only got 60 million people, but yet it's one of the top two or three countries in the world in terms of sport. Diving, they have lots of opportunity, and I'm 100% sure that the Bangladeshi world have got the talent. I'm sure there's someone that can run. I'm sure there's football players. It just can't be cricket. And I'm not saying Bangladesh. I'm saying India as well. India, with a population of 1.4 billion people, went to the Olympics and only came back with one medal. Come on, really? I'm shocked. So
Were you
Bangladesh
aware of
has.
that, Alisha? Were you aware of that, or do you have anything that you can
She comes from
say your thoughts?
Jamaica, an island that boasts lots of Olympic medals
she
and
could be
in
the fastest
sprints.
Bengali
She
girl
can tell
ever.
us a bit.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Why not?
Well, I think it's a
Gold.
really good idea and a really good point. I think sports is definitely important. It's really creative,
Yeah.
and I think it's something that really drives passion and determination to progress. Like it's a good skill as well. And I would love to see like Bangladesh having more achievements. And other Asian countries as well, like
That's
India,
right. That's right.
Pakistan, they definitely should be pushed forward in that direction.
That's right.
I
And
would
my
name. I would.
little Bangladeshi lady, the gold medal that
Irfan.
India
So
won.
you made a great point. This is something that Bangladesh is really behind. Is Olympics.
No,
We have
not
no, no,
Bangladesh.
we
All
have
Asian.
never. Yeah, we have never won an Olympic medal, not even a bronze. And
I hope that
and
changes very soon.
Why do you think
uh,
that is, Mishael? Why do you think that is?
It's because
I
of the
mean,
investment.
yes, investment is definitely the
Investment that
investment.
force people.
Not enough investment, administration, I think, and yeah, I mean these are the issues. It's not that we are dumb or we are
No,
not
no, no,
strong,
no, no, no.
but yeah, I mean
It's just
Like
opportunity.
chess. The first grandmaster from
Professor,
South
can
Asia
we,
comes from
yeah,
Bangladesh.
yeah, can we pick your thoughts on this as well? I mean, it's very, very interesting what's going on at the moment. I mean, it takes me on to my point of where do we see Bangladesh in the next 50 years? I mean, we know where we are at now at the moment, you know, so far from what everyone has mentioned and said. You know, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, sports is a great one, I think, that's lacking. Are there anything else that we could be aware of?
Yes.
Interestingly, I think all of you misunderstand the nature of the Olympics. It was a Western creation, and West has had over 1,000 years to develop its skills in winning the Olympics because it's mainly their games that they put on. But one of the interesting thing is England invented cricket, and it was only, I think, a couple of years ago they actually won the World Cup for the first time. So, India had won it twice. Bangladesh nearly came to be in the final this time round. So I think countries, especially developing countries like Bangladesh, they had more important things: feeding yourself, having shelter, having safety, having education. These were more important things than sports. But of course, as a country, we have now become confident. Sports facilities are now becoming established throughout Bangladesh. And I think everybody's being encouraged to take part in those sorts of things. But again, for us to come with lots of medals in the Olympics, I think is looking at it in the wrong way. But one thing that I can definitely say is that the next 50 years is for Bangladesh to do or to die. I think Bangladesh has a wealth of opportunity. It has the youngest population of any country in the world. It has a very adaptable country population that's able to pick up things very quickly. If we can develop the digital entrepreneurship side, I think we can start to dominate a lot of what happens throughout the world. For example,
well, didn't the Digital
Amazon.
Security Act come in adoption in 2018, only a couple of years ago, so 3 years ago now, really?
No, that's something different. What I'm talking about is digital entrepreneurship. So PayPal, for example, that you have heard of, is an example of digital entrepreneurship. So again, in Bangladesh, we have a lot of these, Bikash, we have a lot of digital platforms through which people do trade and commerce. And I think that is not only being developed within Bangladesh, but it's starting to be exported out of Bangladesh. And that will do it well. So the economy is predicted to grow if the stability remains in Bangladesh, if the law and order and the ease with which business can be done can be improved in Bangladesh. I think Bangladesh could double its economy in the next 10 years.
Sorry, what about travel and tourism?
What about it, Irfan?
As far as I know, everybody that goes to Bangladesh are Bengali. I've never been to Bangladesh. I don't know anybody that's been to Bangladesh that is not from Bangladesh.
Okay, well, there is a big tourism market. So a lot of people not from Bangladesh do travel there, not just British Bangladeshis or other people that are perhaps living outside. But let me give you an example. Bangladesh has the longest sea beach in the world, continuous sea beach. It has pristine waters. St. Martin's Island is a coral island, the biggest of its kind in the world. The Sundarbans has the biggest mangrove in the whole world. It has tigers, it has wildlife that other parts of the world don't have. It borders with India in West Bengal and Kerala and so on. So Bangladesh, the tea gardens where I'm from, Sylhet, is one of the most pristine areas that you could visit. So whether it's water-based, land-based, sea-based, or just the general, outlook, Bangladesh has it all. So if garments
I'm not talking about the beauty of your country. I'm not talking about the beauty of your country. I'm talking about how can it be so accessible for me to go, or how come it's promoted for us to go? Like Dubai. I mean, everybody on here has probably been to Dubai.
No, I haven't
Unfortunately,
yet.
well,
I don't know if the
been to
girls
Dubai.
have been to Bangladesh, Tanima and Alisha.
Yeah.
Have you been to Bangladesh?
No, I haven't been. No.
I have, and just adding
Yeah.
on in the whole like
No.
like promoting in terms of Bangladesh to
Yeah.
outsiders.
I mean, what is
like-
Bangladesh doing to take on tourists? I think that's what Irfan's trying to get at.
Yeah.
Why are we not seeing more of
why
that?
we're not seeing promotion? And I know it's a beautiful country, 100%. But none of the people that I know, except for the
Maybe
people
it's
from Bangladesh, have ever been.
underrated.
Mishael,
Underrated,
you're not saying anything. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I'm listening. So it's coming to the why people do not come to Bangladesh. It's a fact. There are not enough tourists in Bangladesh. But interestingly, the internal tourism is very high and very heavy. So before even a month before any vacation starts, or even a long weekend, you can expect Cox's Bazar hotels to be all booked. There are
But
numerous.
is that by foreigners? Because
No,
I don't really
Bangladesh.
see much promotion. Do
No,
you, Irfan, or girls here?
I did not say
We
Bangladesh. I did not say foreigners. I said Bangladeshis, internal tourism. So the
okay.
internal tourism is really high and strong. And as the professor said, Sylhet, on all these places, beautiful places, and so many resorts, so people are flocking. But this is the internal one. And one thing is, I think we have not really projected Bangladesh's image. This is the main thing. So our international image does not really portray us as how we are as a beautiful country. We are portrayed as makers of your T-shirt. We are portrayed as what do you call it?
All the
Where
garments,
I mean, garments is one, and also the
handicrafts.
floods. Not even handicrafts. It's the floods.
Okay.
So these are the things that people, when we are in news, because of this, and also the bad news that comes out of the garments industry. Sometimes the fire and all these things.
And how the
So,
workers are being treated,
and how other workers are being treated. And in your countries, in Europe, USA, all these TV channels, they do portray that. And even our government has not, or our state has not done really well in portraying the beauty of Bangladesh. And I would really bring it to you here, and people, and some of you who have traveled here, our airport. I mean, if you go through that airport, you don't really have a good impression of the country when you enter, even. So, I mean, that's the starting point. And I mean, there we have hotels, we have great food that could compete with any other cuisine in the world.
I agree.
But you know, but I mean, we have not done really well on that aspect, and maybe our priority was not probably that, or our governments over the past years have not really taken that path, like Thailand did, or some other countries around us, Vietnam, Laos. These countries are doing really great in tourism. But Bangladesh, after having everything, this is not the path that we have taken. And in a way, I think I don't know if it's good or bad, but our internal tourism has taken off. So in a way, our tourist industry or the hotels or the restaurants, they don't do really bad in a way because it's always full of people. But if we had people coming from abroad, they could have earned more, and things could have been probably quality-wise improved. Of course, there's a room for that. And Irfan, why don't you, after all these things are over, have a visit and go back and tell your friends that you can visit this country? And interestingly, we have India, Nepal around us, which are hotbeds of tourists. And I think one reason is people go to these established tourist countries who are already established, Thailand, Nepal, and India around us. And in the middle of it is Bangladesh, where no one comes. So
I
it's
tell
very
you,
funny.
I would love to go to Bangladesh. I really would. I just, as an idea, I'm not saying this should happen, but a country like Egypt, for example, nobody was going to Egypt. So what they did, they man-made Sharm el Sheikh. Oh, I'm going to Sharm el Sheikh today. I'm going to Sharm, and whatever it is, it became a holiday destination. I'm not saying that Bangladesh should do that. I'm just in terms of promoting, like Dubai. I personally don't like Dubai, really. I just think it's just a humongous shopping center. But somewhere where everybody travels to, and I'm 100% that Bangladesh is a fantastic country because a couple of my family who live in Yemen, they've been to Bangladesh. They're saying it's one of the best countries that they've ever visited. So I would love to go.
Well, we've seen, we've seen quite a few. I mean, the way I've kept tabs with some of the parts in Bangladesh is watching Professor Globetrot in different parts and sharing it on social media. And you actually get to see the raw footage, which is amazing, you know. So, I mean, I think what Irfan, what you're trying to say is that we don't see much promotion or marketing as such, you know, of Bangladesh, you know, by
I just
any
feel that somewhere that is something that Bangladesh can improve on. I see people going to Bangladesh, but they are Bangladesh. So
yeah,
I would love, I'd like
so,
English people to go and see. You know, I'd like people from Australia. I would love it. You know, of course, we have to concern our safety and everything, but I think Bangladesh is a safe country. I don't think you can go for a couple of weeks holiday. I'm sure of it.
But Professor, what do you think? I mean, this is quite interesting, you know, for the improvement of Bangladesh to do well. I mean, this seems like there's a gap in this travel and tourism, you know, industry, you know, looking at in the next 50 years. I think this is one of the, you know, sectors that can, you know, need to do something, right?
Let me give some reality to the tourist hotspots that everybody believes in. Dubai was built for the West in mind. So the Western tourists go there, they drink, they do everything that is un-Islamic, and an Islamic country is promoting that. I'd rather not have that sort of tourism. I've been to Nepal. Nepal is a country of bars and casinos. That's all they do. They drink, they drink, they drink. Indians come in hordes just to drink because the local alcohol is so cheap. And there are casinos there. The biggest number of casinos of any country is in Kathmandu. So again, people come there for good reasons, to see the Himalayas, to see the
parts of the
scenery.
countries are you actually visiting, Professor? I'm getting a bit concerned now.
No, what I'm saying is that the Irfan talks about tourist hotspots. Well, Western tourists want one thing. They want to be able to go there and have what West offers, which is alcohol, which is all of those things that perhaps we as a Muslim country should look at doing different types of tourism. So I'm talking about Nepal being a tourist hotspot. The reason why it's a hotspot is because it's cheap alcohol and cheap, you know, all sorts that's there. I've been there. And Kathmandu itself, Kathmandu is a very dirty place. It's a very, you know, very unbuilt. I'm not sure whether Mishael's been there, but Dhaka is much better, much cleaner, much better organized than Kathmandu is.
We can promote that, right?
We can, but again, as I've said, we are still in that phase of getting ourselves onto a strong platform.
Stability. Yes.
I think, again, some of the hotels and the resorts that are being built in Bangladesh, the internal market. Remember, why do Western countries want to come to Bangladesh? Why are we called one of the Asian tigers? Because we have an internal market that is big enough to sustain itself. We have a population of nearly 170 million people. That means everything that you produce can be consumed within the country. Of course, if you sell outside, you get foreign currency, and garments has provided that. We are one of the biggest sellers of bicycles, for example, in the world. So we provide bicycles to the UK. We're the biggest exporters of bicycles to the UK. Very few people know that. But there are a lot of things that we do, which if it was promoted well, we wouldn't be known for floods. We wouldn't be known for catastrophes. We would be known for those things. And I think it's those things that needs to come out more.
Okay, so people, we are coming almost to the end of our show, and it seems like, you know, we've had a look at what Bangladesh has achieved so far, but you know, we are also looking into what it still has to do, and it's, you know, the challenges are yet to come. You know, with our two young students here as well, and Irfan there, who is not from Bangladeshi background as well. I mean, it was actually quite amazing to see what you all knew already and some of the ideas. Now, before we wrap up, you know, is there something that, you know, you can all suggest that maybe there needs to be some sort of policies that need to transform lives, you know, to see how the next 50 years, you know, progresses? So if we can start with, I don't know, Alisha, do you want to say something on that? You know, what you think some of the challenges are yet to come from what you are hearing, you know, of what's going on?
Well, I think maybe some development that I think is really important is, as you said before, travel and tourism. I just think it's a great way to promote the country. Like, if it's done in, you know, a right way that kind of still preserves the things that are important to Bangladesh, and that keeps those values in place, but also while promoting the country as a good destination for travel and tourism, I think that would be beneficial.
Okay. Tanima, very quickly.
Yeah, just adding on to Alisha's point, because we do have some nice places in Bangladesh, like the Grand Sultan, but maybe it's just not as like out there in the internet as we've all mentioned before. So I feel like travel and tourism, and especially the sport industry as well, because we are quite good at cricket, but just the whole like, because there's a lot of not athletes, but like fit people and that are quite like they like sports.
So yeah, so more sports and more travel and tourism, you know, way to go ahead. Irfan, you know, anything you can just finish off with?
I think personally Bangladesh is already booming. You know, Bangladesh has progressed a hell of a lot. I mean, they've worked hard. Yeah, the economy's grown. I think the GDP was 6 or 7% last year, which must be one of the highest, along with Nigeria. And it's just more about self-promoting, keeping the same values that they've always had, and just continuing with what they're doing. I think digital was the way for Bangladesh to come to the fore in the next 20 years, I'll say. Digital forms. I believe that will be the next. Yeah, look, people want to travel there. You want to do a bit of marketing and whatnot. Great. Please don't become like Dubai. Please don't just have wads of shopping centers and topless people and just drinking. That's going to defeat the purpose of what you guys really are. But in terms of improving, Bangladesh is already booming. It just has to progress in its natural way. It's like an athlete.
Yes,
you know,
I was going to say.
And you're playing, and then eventually after 2-3 years, you see more improvement and you feel happier. And I will go to Bangladesh. Believe me, I will end up there, and I will love to meet.
Yes, and we want to hear your experience when you come back as well.
Oh,
so
yeah,
Mishael, your last few thoughts and views on today's you know, issue.
It's a nice mix of people, and great to hear views of people like Bangladesh origin people who have not been to Bangladesh, foreigners' views on Bangladesh. It's been lovely. And I think one aspect we have missed on our development is our migrant workers. So along with garments, that has been one sector of people who have left Bangladesh and chose to go outside, especially Middle East, Malaysia, and other countries, Italy, and giving back to the country. So I think it's our people have this love for the country. Probably they're not always good in showing it, but they do show it with their courage, with their work ethic, and I think this will take this country forward. Yes.
And Professor Sanawar, if we can sum up with your thoughts.
Well, let me first of all invite everyone on behalf of myself and Mishael to come to Bangladesh. We will look after you, inshallah. I think Bangladesh has a long way to go. We've only been independent for 50 years.
And we have great tea. We have great tea as well. And being British, we should be appreciating that.
Absolutely. I think our future, our potential is yet to come. What we've done so far, we've done under difficult circumstances, but we continue to strive ahead positively, despite the bad news. Of course, politics and different points of view hasn't worked in the democratic sense that we expect in the UK and other countries, but UK has had over 2,000 years of practice to get it right. We will get it right, inshallah. What I say is be proud of your roots, whether you're from Jamaican Bangla background or British Bangla or British Yemeni. I think we're all global citizens, and we should be proud of not only where we come from and promote that country, because that country is ours, but as well as use the opportunities of our adopted country, which is the United Kingdom, here for most of us, to do well. I've been blessed to be able to take advantage of both countries, and I enjoy traveling now, because our Prophet has said, travel to the ends of the world, and that's what I've done. Over the last 5 years, I'm doing it more vigorously. I've made a lifestyle choice. I encourage everyone, remember, bank balance and titles are all left behind. Experiences that you have visiting different countries, being able to look at something and say, "Fabiyayi alai rabbikuma tukazziban," is one of the most satisfying things you can do. So Sabia, thank you for having me on this show. Bangladesh will be 50 years tomorrow since the start of our independence war. We are still fighting that independence. We want all of those things that everybody else wants throughout the world. We have a lot of problems to deal with, but with everybody's prayers and with everybody's foresight, we will go forward stronger.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Well, what we have found out here, everyone, is that March the 26th, 1971, was the Independence Day in Bangladesh. It commemorates the country's declaration of independence from Pakistan on the late hours of 25th of March, 1971. The day is a memorial to the deaths of millions of innocent civilians who died in the subsequent Bangladesh Liberation War. Whatever problem the world has brought us, remember that our journey together is too short. No one knows the length of our journey. So nobody knows when it's arrived at its stop. Our journey together, let us appreciate friends, family. Let us be respectful, kind, and forgiving. Let us be filled with gratitude and joy. Share your kindness, your smile with everyone. Be safe and stay blessed.